How about there? There's the audio. Weird OBS. They keep betraying me. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me okay now. Looks like the my microphone was non-responsive for a moment. Mic check. That's good. Thank you, Bobby. Appreciate it. Sorry about that, guys. Patrick, still no audio? Are we good? All right, nice. Let me switch back over to the screen here in just a minute. So yeah, thanks for joining me tonight. We're gonna work on this dual card Toothie Ruthie. I started 2 Sundays ago, roughly, I think. And our tribute to original Series 5, sort of bye-bye Chrome 5, hello vacation that's coming. So saw some stuff out there today, saw some posts, some sketch cards. Officially comes out tomorrow. 5x5. Oh, what this size is on this card, actually. Good question. I think I know what you're asking there. Let's do my mainstream here. Oh, here we go. So yeah, these are just two cards back to back. So 5 by should be the standard card length with this like three and a half, three and some change there. Under 3.5. Yep. Not quite postcard size, but that's kind of what I used to put it in. 3.5 by 5. Yep, that's correct. That'd be our correct dimensions there. 3.5 by 5. So kind of like a pano, similar to it. Oh, so I got you two on here. I noticed I was showing this Sunday these like sort of sealed, graded, uploaded kind of things. I got it, and I put one of my cards in it, and I was showing you how it wouldn't open well. It didn't seal good, and after the stream, I noticed it broke open a lot. So I took it and I glued it. I glued the edges as a sort of a sample, just to let you know, since I know Bobby, we're talking about it. And I noticed this online with some of the reviews that they had said that when you glue it, if you use the wrong glue, it gets kind of cloudy. It looks kind of bad. So I used modeling glue. I used some modeling glue, and there's some other stuff you can use. And that it sealed just on, put glue here, 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 and then in the center on the sides. And I was a little worried about the sides, but I'll be honest with you, I don't see it. Like I can't see the sides. So you do have to kind of glue them shut. But I mean, if it's a sealed card, it's a sealed card, right? Of course you can crack it open. But anyway, that worked. But yeah, I have to seal it with glue. So, but in person, yeah, in person you can't see any glue, and I don't know how well the camera's going to pick up that in detail, but that looks really good. So I might pursue doing a special run of these where I do so many of one card and do a special nameplate and do something with that. Do the holographic sort of logo and do some kind of special one-off series or something like that, just for myself. But they're cool and they're pretty inexpensive. So yeah, Bobby, I'll send you a sample of these and get an idea of yourself what they feel like. But I wanted to let you know that I used a like clear modeling glue to get that together, and it worked fantastic. So. Yeah, I had no trouble getting glue on my card in there. I just put one of my blanks in there to try it out, and that's one of my thicker blanks that I got. Kind of the similar style that you have, Bobby. Kind of a similar style. Anyway, just thought I'd share that since I saw Bobby in the chat. Over the side. So we'll get to it. It's been a kind of a long day. I almost wanted to move our stream again, but I decided we gotta do it. So I'm gonna get myself off screen here, and we'll get right to the drawing. There we go. Patrick, you've been working on some cards for Island Dreams. It's cool. Nice ones. See that. All right, so tonight we've already inked this thing and we've lined it and all that stuff. So one of my steps is complete. Some little spots I might want to erase on. Pieces here and there. Interesting. So Toothie Ruthie. All right. I'm probably going to start with the skin tone, just like to get that out of the way. So let's go with that. So it's just a basic run for me. I'm going to start with, tonight I'm going to call out the colors a little bit more than I usually do. I plan to do a video on what colors I use and what colors I use most often for these, especially for GPKs. But it's something people have been asking for a long time, and I'm going to put some time into actually dedicating a video for it. So I know I've sent out lists before and things, and I do vary sometimes what I use. It depends on two things: what I'm trying to make the character look like, how red or tan they look, and also what what colors I have available. I'm going to use a E93 tonight, which is a T rose, a little more reddish color, and I'll mark these on the side here. So off camera, sorry. There we go. Um, it's the number one thing I get asked is what colors do I use and that, and I've worked with a lot of folks to get them colors that I use or what I think that would work for their stuff, but there's a lot of wiggle room in this. And then I'll lay out this EO2, which is a fruit pink, which is a real similar to this E93. I'll use that on the side. It's a little darker, not a lot. And then this E21 you can use for a skin tone, just a little variation. Just a more muted color of the E00 sometimes. I don't think we need this much variation, honestly, in this character, but I'm just going to have them on the side. So if I feel like moving around, I'm going to move around. And then I can go way darker or way in red, or I can go way darker in brown and kind of blend them together and create kind of a nice effect. This character is pretty pale, except for some of the folds in the skin and stuff that get a little reddish. So this is more of a pinkish character. Anyway, we can start with that. I like to use the E00 to put a base coat down. You don't always have to do this, but I like to just have that base flesh tone color for a more Caucasian looking color character. Bobby's saying I use all these. Yeah, I mean, I use these and many more. So I even saying like these are not my only ones, but I definitely have other ones I go to depending on the character. I use the E95 as well sometimes, which is really close to the 93 for this application. Um, the honest truth is I like the E93 and I could get refills for it. As far as ink, I have a refill kit over here so I can refill my E93 if I need to pretty quick. And I plan to do a video on that too, sort of marker maintenance. I know that's kind of a silly topic, but I think it has some value. So I'm going to do that. Some practical applications for refilling your markers and how that works. And I also have a stack of markers that are dead, and I kind of thought I would share with you after so many years how many markers I still have alive and how many I have that are just dead or dried out or that kind of thing. And these are in Copic. I have some other brands too. I plan to start looking at some other brands as well. Coming up real soon. Excited tomorrow. Officially, we have our release for Garbage Pail Kids Goes on Vacation. And that means there'll be more stuff released, and hopefully you'll see more sketches and more hits. And I've already seen people putting stuff on eBay they've already opened, so that's cool. First look at some of the characters. So it was interesting to see that. If I get my stuff in time, I'll be opening some this Sunday. We'll have some Garbage Pail Kids to open from the vacation set. A hobby box and what they call as a hobby retail box, which doesn't make any sense. So I just noticed I have like a little bit of graphite still on the inside of this right here. So I don't want to hit. Really, sometimes markers are okay when you hit the graphite. It's not the end of the world, but for these lighter colors like this, you'll see the tip of it. Now the tip is that color because I've used it to blend around other stuff over time, and you're just going to discolor them. It's fine. It still puts down the correct. But when you graphite in there, it does the same thing, but it actually clogs up the brush, and the ink won't flow as well. So you'll get a weird, it'll blob out sometimes if you keep abusing your markers. And you can replace these. I'll replace some on a video soon. I think it's rocket science, and there's 1,000 other videos, but why not? Why not make one? I've started to work on a few videos as well for the vacation series. I've got a bunch of content I'm trying to get ready for release. I've got a video, hopefully will be out tomorrow, forward to that. I'm sure, Bobby, you've got a few. If I can chat, I've got just a little bit of the chat windows cut off, so I can move this over and get. Ah, there we go. Yeah, vacation being delayed like that kind of sucks. But I enjoy what we're gonna get. I'm gonna go ahead and bump up my, to my next shade here. So I tend to blend a lot with the skin tones, but you can do some of this high contrast, low blending thing. But I'm not gonna do that. Blend it pretty well. So first, I'll just drop down some areas I want to be darker. I didn't see Meek's card. I'm sure Meek did a great job. He always seems to excel with these sketch cards, so I'll have to catch that and check that out. Meek's a good guy. I met him a few shows back in Philly. Really nice guy. A little southerner. Find the time to put some awesome detail in this. I was really happy with this set myself. Going back and looking at the cards is kind of weird. I did them so long ago. It's like I bought them in some ways, but I knew, like, I still kind of remember the feel of the drawings. You sometimes remember stuff you drew a long time ago, but you're like, feels familiar. That's about it. So the red's kind of on the edge of the skin on this one. I'm really interested to see the base cards right now and the inserts and stuff. Missed some of the area down here. But for viewers, so you think yeah, of course, Bobby. Yeah. Uploading videos 150. Oh my goodness. Awesome. I've got I don't know how many I have. I don't know how many videos I have. But yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Like, your style changes over time, and I don't know if it's always better, if it's just different, or it feels better for you. I go back and forth on that because I definitely can see where I've improved on certain techniques, or I'm changing things up. Maybe I'm getting them more the way I want them. So that's always a debate, right? Like, you can still look at your old art and be like, that looked pretty good, or I like that, but I would have done this different, or I may have even done more. But the sketch cards, we only have so much time to work on them, so it's always like a rush. And yeah, Patrick, I'm using on the cheeks a E93. So I'm using the E93 on the cheeks. I probably will go a little darker in the end. I'm just kind of marking them up a little bit now. I'm just slowly enjoying it and building up the colors. No final moves here. This character has a nice red sort of effect around her eyes. Don't want to get in the eyes. Got something interesting going here. So I've got this one kind of not squared off, but this one is squared off. Oh well. I will probably go darker on the red, honestly. It's not gonna be dark enough for me in the end here. I favor a higher contrast. I can always go really blocky against this color, that color, and blend it, if I wanted to. I can always come in later and use a colored pencil and really smooth it out. Um, and on this piece, I might, because I don't have to worry about a timeline or not under the gun. It's not a return card, but it sure could be that level of care and quality. I mean, that's one thing I was really happy about. Speaking of vacation, is I was able to spend more time with some of those cards that are in the packs. So I was really happy to give people who open those packs like a card from me. I think we all kind of feel that way. Well, Patrick, if you need an E93, I can probably help you out there. I have two of them, so I'll get you one. No problem at all. And I have the refill, so I can refill one for you. I think you have an RO2 though, don't you? Don't you, Patrick? Don't you have a, if I can remember correctly, RO2 is one of the colors. Just put it away, I think. But we talked about maybe getting an RO2 for some of your stuff. Oh, I'm sorry, maybe an EO2. EO2 or RO2. There's an RO2. Let's move it to an RO2. That's really good too for cheeks and stuff. And that is a sorry, rose salmon. Yeah. So that's even darker up there. But that's really good for cheeks. I mean, that's the baseline for me to start with if I'm going to use markers for cheeks. You definitely can go with our darker color and blend around. And I don't worry about this looking so like a, standing out oval here. We'll blend that around there. And we'll use that lighter color to blend with, obviously. Use the EO1 with it. Or the E00. Cotton pearl or skin white, depends on how old your marker is. They've renamed it for political reasons, but all right. This one coming off, it comes off and it's gonna look a little, whether there's stuff on this marker or not, but when I'm sort of coloring it, it looks a little grayish through there, but it will change up. It should dry a little different. It's just like a wet color of it. I also have a colored pencil I use. I use a Prismacolor peach pencil to sort of correct any tones I don't like, and I can sort of dial back to what this looks like with different colors on my character. If I don't like or I feel like I've oversaturated them, I can always go back. That's one of the benefits or one of the drawbacks of working with ink. You kind of can't layer the light over the dark, right? You have to move up to a new medium like paint or gouache, or use pens sometimes that are gel pen or paint pen. Just check. Do you have an EO2 and okay, so you have EO2 and an RO2. Excellent. Well, those are excellent pencil markers, Patrick. Those will do the job. If I had to choose to do any sort of like flesh highlights, like I'm talking about, like these rosy cheeks, RO2 is where I'd start. I mean, I'm kind of playing around and going easy on these tonight, but this is an essential marker. I think it's one of the essentials, I'd say. All right, so let's see. I'll go one more. Finish up the skin tones. Go too much more. So this is a light prawn, which is R22. Very, very pinkish skin tone, very raw. So I'm going to use this, and I'm definitely going to blend it around. So on the top edge of the cheeks here, and some of this right here, I'm going to just put a very, very light coat of that on. And I'm going to blend it in a minute, but I want this effect because this is really powerful color for this. I want to add. It's okay. It looks kind of weird. Didn't put anything here. Underneath the nose. Eyes a little bit. There should be a little more. Trying to lay down a little color that I'm going to push around. Worried about it looking kind of funky or anything. Down here where the light hits it kind of weird. A little bit of here. Here's down in here. I'm going to use this too. Where I have my maximum shadow on the skin on this character, we're going to use this really darker pinkish rose color. Blend it down a little bit. And I might choose to do more of it on the out here. When I blend this away, it's going to almost going to be a totally different drawing. Way. Right now, it looks real marked up. I know. And to be fair, I could have started with this marker. I could have skipped over some of the other steps, but you know, taking it easy tonight. If I was in more of a hurry, I could have jumped around more. Now, again, I'm going to blend with this E00. Blend it in. I could use a more red color if I wanted to. I have to be careful not to pollute the skin tone colors around it. Still does look kind of weird. Like it looks kind of that white area looks kind of gray when I'm doing that. That might be this marker. It will dry just fine. And you just want to do a little circular motion there. I just want to get rid of that blockiness. And I still might come back with that R22 again and add some more back. May not be done with it. I just sort of want to add a little bit at a time. Ink is unforgiving. I really am trying to stay away from using pencils to enhance or correct the drawing more than I want. Skin tones, I don't want to go to that level. It takes more time. If it's unnecessary, don't. But it might be. Might look at it and be like, I need to do something. Blends pretty well, pretty quick. But there are some red markers I could have used probably for this, or different pinks to get in here and do this a little less of harsh, but I'm comfortable using that R20. And that's again, that's the light prawn. Light prawn. Let's see, Drew's asking, Skipper, what are the colors of coat markers, blue and pink, that you use to get the style of the original GPK wax pack? That is a good question. So if I were saying just to the top of my head to jump in there and grab two colors for that, that is a good question. I have to probably look over here my markers and pick a few out. So here's a blue 04. Let's see how that looks. It's a little dull, but that's close. So maybe I dial back to a 2. Maybe a blue 02, if I can find my. So blue 02, which is Robin Eggs Blue. Let's see what that looks like for the color of them. That's pretty close. Maybe even a blue 01. Let's see. Just for the OS2 pack. Let's see, I think I have it over here. This is a blue 00. So it's either between blue 02 and blue 01. Find the blue 01 marker somewhere around. Maybe I can't. Got a few that are out. And then pink, that's a really hot pink on those kind of packs. It definitely wouldn't be like a neon pink, right? That's way too bright. Let's try maybe a red violet. Red violet 04 is pretty close. Like that's pretty close to an OS1 pack color. So maybe something like that or in that family. I have done an OS1 pack sketch card before. Can't recall what I used to do it. I have to look at the video. I sort of would probably mix the colors out there on the screen and figure out what looked right to me at the moment. But I'd say probably for an OS2 pack, I'd use Robin Eggs Blue, which is a blue. It's a BO2, between a BO2 and a BO1. And probably for the actual OS1 wax pack, probably Red Violet 04, which is Shock Pink, called Shock Pink. So I'd probably use something like that. There could be variations in that. Like you could do different things. It's that's the O2. That's the one step down from that, which is crazy, right? But that's in the family. That's one step down. Because there's not a 3. So that's the difference. Obviously, when you were doing this kind of thing, you'd have to put in some white colored pencil to make the wax effect. Probably, you do some of that to sort of put the corners on it. Kind of tell what I'm trying to accomplish there. But you could make a waxier look finish to it. Use like a white pencil on it. Probably some white paint here and there to give the effect of a shine or reflection of light as well. Something like that. Got me thinking I'm gonna have to do one soon. Anyway, it's too dark there. See, 17, the deep magenta. I've got a few here I use, but it would be pretty much a shock pink, I think, or a blue too. Hope that answers your question, sort of. That's kind of where I would start. My best guess. You kind of can look at the caps and what I've used in the past over the markers and kind of pick out close to what it should be, and then play around in the color family up and down from there. Anyway, back to doing some of the skin tones here. About time for me to check over all my markers. I try to do that between sets. I've got to start a set here pretty soon for something else, and I need to check my markers. They're all, some of them are unhealthy or dried up. I'm real bad on my grays right now. All my cool grays are all jacked up, so I have to fix those. Might be part of a video on that too. I'm going to refill a lot of them. I have refills for most of the grays I use often, but for some reason I just didn't do well last time. All right. So, see here. This is an R20, the blush. Take a look at that. This is a very pink, but again, I know they all look very similar. They're all very good. R02 looks similar to this, so you really can't go wrong with a lot of these. This is a little bit lighter. Use that on the edge of some of these in our mouth. Fill in some of these white spots where I blended here. Worry about this stuff. If you ever get overages on places like this, I plan for this to be sort of kind of a whiter area, gray white. We'll fix that later. I don't worry about anything like that. Use a pen and fix it. It's good to have a marker too that's not running dry. You need one that's got a lot of alcohol effect in it, a lot of ink flowing well. That way you can blend really fast. If you have a marker that's going out, it's just a nightmare to get it to do what you might want it to do. Using this thing, it's a little less saturated than the other ones I've been using to polish off some of these little corners and edges. Come back again with the P00 and make these good. Spend a lot of time on the skin on this one because obviously there's not a lot of the character to work with. You want to make the skin look pretty nice. You want it to pop. I've got a heavy outline on this character, so it will help it pop. And then all the detail, people are going to be focused inside the mouth. But you want that background. The background in this one truly is her face. I mean, we're going to spray the background. The background is just a gradient spray green that John Pound put together. So not a lot going on there, but it will look kind of nice. A little spot there in her nose, which I'll fix it right now. Right tools for that. Using this jelly roll. This is a jelly roll 08 and 8. A little big. Certain things. I'm trying to get it to reactivate here. I like to use this to touch up little spots sometimes, or put out the eyes. I use some other pencil white pens as well too. I use the Uniball Signo UM-153. Use these as well. These are more like paint. They feel more like paint when you use them. They're good too. But these you need to have a little dark spot on your paper and just make some circles on there first to make sure it's dropping down gel the way you want it to, and that is. So I want to get in here. There's a little spot on her nose. I just barely hit and dial that back. You see when I did that? Probably can't even see it now. It's virtually going to be gone. And when that dries, I can hit that with ink. A little just touch of ink, rose lightly, and it will be no problem at all. It won't mess. Now I can't blend over it real heavy. I can't grind down on the tip of that with a marker heavily, but I can run over it a little bit, and it should be just fine. Halfway her nose here. All right, color her eyes. They're like a greenish color here. Typically, they're like I'm gonna try this blue green 34 horizon green. Yeah, that looks just about perfect. Let's try that. No rocket science there. Now, something you can always do with these eyes is if you want to add a little more, detail to it, let's choose another color close to this one. So if I have one, I want something like a little bit darker. Let's see. I have a 32. We just used a 34, so I probably should use a 32 first, but let's try this 45. I have a blue-green 45, which is Nile blue. Let's see what this looks like. Okay. That's different. Darker saturation on that one. I'm gonna choose to color the bottom of the iris a little bit more with this. Try to build up a little bit of depth in her eye. I want the light to hit her eyes like this, and I'm gonna make the top of her eye lighter. And that's doing a little bit. I mean, that's not bad. That's a little bit. But I want to go a little further. Let's see. So this time I'm going to grab the next darkest one I see and see if it works out. This is Jasper, which is blue-green 57. See? Building up the darker color right beside of it. Just comparing the lightest to the darkest there. Try that one. Careful here because I've got that white around the eyes. I don't really want to have to correct, but I easily could. So, all right. So that's three layers of color kind of building and working in there to some degree. You could try to blend those in some cases if you don't like the way they look. I think those will blend just fine. I wouldn't mess with those at all. Of course, we need to put a little people in there. People. Again, that's not a complicated thing. Not rocket science, right? So I'm going to switch off just because I talked about it. Let's use the other white pen to do the sort of the little dots where the light hits the eye. Again, do the same technique on some darker area in your pad here. You can kind of just like move the pen around, and then you'll see I've got a nice consistent drop of ink there. In this case, it's kind of a paint. I'm going to go top here. And you can come back, and if you don't like what you got there, you can come back to it in a minute. Do it again. Do one here. Because the light's coming down this way, I want the light to kind of here like that. And that looks okay. There's a little tiny dot in both of them where it didn't drop as much as I was trying to drop, but that's because it's an old pen and it's misbehaving. But that's okay, and I can come back later and drop it again. I don't want to mess with it right now because I want it to dry. And it dries in a couple of minutes. It won't take forever. But be careful when you're working over your workspace if you're ever doing like what I'm doing. You can smear this stuff and it gets on the back of the card and then it gets. So be careful, be mindful if you use any paint. Same with paints. If I put paints on the side, I have to kind of watch that. So I'll get my hand in it or I'll get the card in it and have a mess. So, all right. And next I'm going to color her bow there because I'm on the outside of the character. I'm saving the inside here because the detail part. Yeah, thanks, Bobby. It's looking okay, right? It's looking okay. Okay. We're just kind of going slow rolling tonight, aren't we? Going kind of slow. So there's another pink. This is a red violet 13. Tender pink. That's interesting. We can try to see what that looks like. I'm probably going to go a few shades of pink inside this bow. The original has some darker areas and lighters, and I've got this part where the bow comes out here and shows a darker area. Let's throw some of this down. This might be my darker color. I might come in here with a lighter color in a minute. As I'm coloring that, I'm like, that's pretty dark. That's darker than I thought it would be. Don't watch her hair there. I don't want to hit her hair just yet. These little folds in the bow. Put little fold marks kind of on the edge when I draw a bow. And then sometimes I put inside the bow there. I can't tell. All right. And then I'm gonna get a very light pink and go in there. I don't mind that having that white in there because it kind of like it could be a shiny looking kind of bow or have a little light feature. That's not bad. I could be a leave it alone moment. Let's see. All right, this is back to that red violet 02, which is sugared almond pink. I love the names of these things. Good. Um, pretty light, total different family. So it's very, very, very different than that. So just go in there a little bit with it and hit it just on the edge. I don't want to get rid of all the white there, but again, I don't think this is a necessary step, but it's just a more refined step. Like a little bit touch of a lighter pink in there. You and I will know it's there, but they won't ever know. And also, looking at it, I might put a little bit darker of pink. You know, I kind of do that. I'm like, I don't see the contrast I want. Let's go back up to our old friend, the shock pink again. We talked about for the OS1 packs. It has a very interesting effect. It's a little darker, yet it punches in there a little bit with some color. I like that. That might be what I wanted. All right, spent way too much time on the bow, but the bow's good. We're gonna leave the bow alone. If I change it up anymore, we'll do something with a pencil or something. I think it's fine. All right, so let's start on the mouth. So I'm gonna need a couple colors here. What I'll probably end up doing realistically is trying not to color something wrong in here, right? Because there's a lot of stuff going on. You've got gum line here, teeth, decay, plaque, metal pieces in there. There's a spider there. There's saliva right through here, so I need to put a blue in there. I have the background of the mouth, and I have to decide, do I want the back of the mouth to be one color or multiple colors? Do I want it to look light and dark in different areas? So I've got to factor all that in a little bit. So what I think I'm going to do first is I'm going to color the saliva a little bit. I'm just going to mark it up with some light blue so I know not to go over that because it sort of overlaps and touches a lot of the teeth. And for me, in my head, I need to make sure I don't color over that because that'll be harder for me to fix. So let's see here. This is a blue 00. I think that's way too light. Again, I want to choose something light, but not too light, right? And in the end, I'll put some darker blues in this. I think that's the color I want. I'll probably highlight this saliva with some of my white pen there, just to give some more sheen effect, shine to it. I'm leaning towards this this blue BO0, BO2. Sorry, can't talk. Which is the Robin X blue. We can just try with that. I do here, just to make sure. I'm just going to mark it up. I'm not going to really get a great coat of this in there. I just want to touch it up a little bit. Here's another little spot right there where I might use my white pen and fix that little like a place where I hit it too much with the pen and I lined it. Again, these are sketch cards. They don't have to be perfect. They need to be decent, but small imperfections in the drawing are totally acceptable. They're not a final piece. bit here. Color to one side. You could go ahead and color to one side and leave a little white on this side. Makes it tremendously easier if you want to come back later and make this where the light's hitting it. Totally not necessary. I've done it both ways. I've been smart and colored it smart. I've been dumb and came back with a pen and fixed it. Or intentionally came back with a paintbrush and done it. So. Dealer's choice. I don't think I put any more saliva anywhere else. All this other stuff is other thing. Here. Not saliva, it's part of the tooth. You'll find stuff too, like if you try to figure out maybe what you did. I'm not sure if I intended to do something different with the drawing right there. Like this is maybe where I traced a part, but I think this is supposed to be part of a decayed and there's a hollow area right here. So I'm gonna add back in a little bit of drawing there. I may have erased something by accident. Happens sometimes when you do it this way. So let's get in there and add some stuff. I want that edge of the tooth. I want to add a little more three-dimensional side of that tooth there. Still some nasty decay in there. Leave the gray in there. We'll come back to that. All right. So let's work on the gum color. Since we've been playing with the pink color so much, let's go the gray. I mean the gums. I'm gonna start with this. I randomly just grabbed another pink. This is a more muted pink. R21. I'm gonna start with this. Probably we'll move around to other pinks. Not a lot of area to blend in here with this gum. I'm trying to be really careful what I touch here. So I'm going to go real light and just kind of go around some of the pieces I don't want to color pink, like some of the plaque or like this here is a socket. So I'm going to color that in there. I'll come back with something darker. And see much gum through here. I'll put a little bit here. This is all consumed. Socket here with the tooth coming out. Gum here. Dark here. Up in here, it's a very small amount of pink, and there's like a light from is shining on her gums right through here. So I want to try to preserve a little bit of white space here in the center, so I can play with that later. I can come in and add some different details with a pen or something, or a different darker color pink. Go down the bottom here and kind of do the same. So the opposite's true here, like the bottom of the lip, near the lip here is all pink, and then there's a little white spot, light hitting closer to up to the teeth. There's a, let's see what I got going on here. There's a bandaged tooth here, sort of a hole right here where a cavity of a tooth would be. And then see up right up against the teeth, they still got. I'm gonna color slightly up under some of this plaque right here. Then near this tooth over here. I did a little cross hatching there. I might do some over here as well. Might need to do something over here. And while I'm here, we'll do the tongue. Probably will darken this tongue up a little bit. And also will leave some spots in here for light hitting as well. Leave a little bit over here with that. I like that. Good. General rule is you can layer these colors about 3 times and build up a darker coating of it. Not always true, depends on the color, but that's the general rule with some of the lighter ones. You can build up like that. lighter here and darker back there. And also it's an illusion with white space. All right. Let's see. Let's take care of this nail inner tooth. Try to find a gray marker that works correctly. We're hanging in there in chat. What time do we got? We got just about an hour. This might be a two-parter at this speed, huh? I don't know. I'm trying to, I got a little pink on this thing, and I'm trying to kind of conceal that with this gray, which is fine. So I might have to come back and add more shine on one side to it that I was trying. Come back. Again, with that, one of them I can always come back with this white pen and something to it like that. I'll probably come in and work on that with a pencil later. The teeth. So I'm going to put some gray on the teeth and kind of shadow in some of the areas where I want the teeth to look kind of nastier. I could use almost a grayish brown looking color. Let's find something unique. I think this is khaki E884. I think this is too dark, but I'm going to take a look. It's a little dark. Maybe for something, but it's got a real mustardy, nasty looking tone. So speaking of mustard tones, let's look at our yellows. We got some yellows here that might work. So mustard, Y26. Nice plaquey looking color, so that might work for certain things. It looks like, being so small, it may not be very effective, and that's all right. Let's see what it looks like on a tooth. Pretty good, because it's got this in person here. It's got a nice dark tone to it. It's also nasty looking, yellowish feel in it. I think I'm going to go with this mustard for the teeth, so for at least some of the tooth decay. Not everything. And I can blend it around if I don't like how dense it is. Let's see. I'll do like a pass around with this one. I might add something darker to it, blend it around, and add some more colors to it. You want that teeth? Those teeth look pretty nasty for hers. These aren't bad. This is not a bad color. It's a little darker than I was thinking of originally, but if it looks good and you can kind of get away with it, it saves you some time having to blend it later. These are little worms and stuff coming out of this tooth, so add a little hint of this on it, not a lot. Less is more, right? That kind of thing. Then over here, this tooth is kind of like a doll tooth, so there's stuffing coming out of it. I'll leave that one alone a little bit. This one here. Tooth back over in here. Undamaged, but sitting in behind this one, which is full of holes. Probably have to come back with something darker. Do some of these. Reevaluating these. All right, starting to look kind of nasty. And that was the Y26 mustard, so that's not a bad color for that. Take a look at this fig again. Fig. use this to darken up a few of the holes here where she's got some more severe tooth damage. That looks really nice with it. Want to go lightly around the edges, and honestly, a marker may not even be the right tool for some of this. You may want to use a multi-liner, and if you have one that's sort of that, even a brown or like this, I think I will use the marker, but just as a suggestion, you could use a colored multi-liner. Like these are Stablos, and they sell a pack of 20, 48 of these things, so they're different colors. Like this color here is very similar to that mustard color here. So you could use this to go around these teeth and really get in there tight. Make sure you hit all the white up underneath the tooth like that. So you build a nice. Now you can't blend this, so once you put this down, it's almost unblendable. You can correct it with other stuff, but remember that. So blending with it, it won't damage what you have it on, but it won't blend well. Not alcohol bad. Not alcohol. I like to use this to get a nice little edging like that. Like this one, I probably will blend a little bit. So something real. Need a yellow color that will blend the dark. You could just go with this very, very light yellow. This is a yellow 00. See how it looks. I think it'll be all right. Have to be a perfect match. I don't care if the teeth look more yellow. Just want to make sure that blends okay. That doing really with a virtually brand new marker, so it's got all life in it. You can see it's blending really fast. And it does give me that little more hint of a lighter yellow in there, so it definitely gives a lighter yellowed effect on the top of the other areas of the teeth, and I like little tiny steps can add up and make a really nice your time with it. This tooth might have mustard on. So let's go down. Maybe on that side. Some of that big color into the inside of the tooth to make it darker right here. Same around the little wormy things. I'm going to give them a little bit. I've been using a lot of markers tonight. I mean, more than I usually use on stream, just to kind of highlight me jumping around a little bit. When I'm coloring things and I'm kind of getting a little more creative than normal on these, I throw markers all over the place. So um, I usually try to minimize what I'm using if I can. But this one, we're having some fun. My point with that, that point there is you don't have to own all the markers in the world. Few key markers can get you really far down the road. And they don't even have to be Copic, they can be another brand as long as they are sort of equivalent. All alcohol markers do blend and work with each other. Truth. Didn't like the Copic because I kind of started with that, or was introduced to that early on, and I'd use others as well. I like the Prismacolors when they were available individually. These were cheaper and they did a good job. I've used Tombos a little bit. I've used Winsor Newton markers. Copics work with my airbrush system. They're airbrush spray, so I like that. Super Brush, which is what I have on these sketch markers, is fantastic. Good. Good setup. They're pricey. You can get them online. They're cheaper. I wouldn't buy them retail. All right. Hey, Joe. Good to see you. Teeth like fresh toasted marshmallows. That's right. How's it going, man? Yeah, we're just working on, Toothy Ruthie a little bit here. Um, Taking it slow. Kind of going slow on this one. Let's see. Work on that plate over there. Now, sometimes with metal, metal is just a variant of some grays and it's put some white highlights in there and it gives kind of a metal effect. I might do some of that, but I also have a silver pen I use sometimes. I think I find one. Here's a new one. Here's a new style one. I just started using this silver pen. I've used one, the same brand as the Uniball as well. This is a gold version, but I have a silver one like that too. But these can add a nice little highlight. I like to put these on staples and stitches on the GPK characters sometimes. Instead of using a black, there's a black staple on of them. I know you can't see that in the chat, but it does give a little silvery effect and it has a shine when you hold in the card. So that's a finishing touch. You can't blend over that, so you save that to the end. Good for little metal parts you might want to have a little shine too. This guy, I said earlier, my grays are terrible. This is a cool gray 5, and it doesn't even look like it. It looks like 2. Little part there. Does not look like a 5 at all. Let me try another 5. I got a few more of them. That's a 5. Oh my goodness. Look at the difference. That's almost mislabeled. So here's another lesson. Always label your stuff when you're put the cast back on right. See, that's a 5? Actually a 1. All right, so. And look at here. There's a 5 and a 5. So we know this is a 5 for sure. And keep your stuff labeled, Ricky. All right. Can happen, especially when you're working on a set and you're busy. You grab the wrong marker. Always test your markers out over here first. See, leave that alone for the moment. What I do over here. He's a lot darker, this tooth. Try to use a C2 on this one. And why do I use cool grays? I just like them. You could use a neutral gray for this project. One thing you should always be careful with is not overlapping your grays. If you're going to start with one gray, it's better to keep in the same gray family. You can move around, but you need to be conscious that they don't always blend well. Like especially with like the warm grays. The warm grays are great, but you need to make sure you don't mix them with the wrong stuff. Cool grays go well with blues and stuff. Or for me, I'm using it more like a neutral. So a neutral is really great. So I'd always have a set of neutrals, and then I lean towards blue stuff. I know I'm using kind of a redder stuff tonight, but start with neutrals, and then if that's what you can get. And then I like cools, but I also use warms for reds and green. So this is a lot of some blending in there. If I can use it. CS1's a little dark. Let's use there is a C00 wool gray, which should help me blend that around a little bit more. And I'm just going to try a little bit to blend that a little bit. If it doesn't do what I want, I always have the option to use my white pencil, and I probably will to want to darken that down at the bottom some too. That C5. So this tooth on the original drawing has a real burned dark look at the bottom. So that's what I'm trying to accomplish. A C4. C4 is pretty good. Now this one is on. If you can't tell, but I can tell, it's a little gummy. See, it's kind of going out funky. Like that should be consistent every time, and it's really going out on me. So it's a little gummy, and knowing that, that's okay. I just have to be aware of that when I'm doing with it. So when I'm doing with it down here, I can definitely use that gummy effect to my advantage. And I've done this in the past where I have a marker going out, it gives me kind of a different effect. Kind of gums up right in that one corner there, and that's perfect. That's what I wanted. I wanted like a little spot of goo and junk. And I can feel it sticking too, like it's sticking to the paper. So very careful using some of these things. If you want it for an effect like that, it's great. But you need to probably replace the tip or even replace the ink in it for sure. Something like that. Typically, these tips though are kind of getting nasty once you've got stuff in there. And Gummy. Gummy's not good. It won't blend well either, but I'm not going to blend that anymore. I'll leave that alone and come back with a white pencil to finish that off. Now I have a, this is the miniature white pencil I have over here. I have a full size one over here somewhere. Let's see. Find me. Don't see where it's at. Guess what? We're going to use this little pencil. No, I see. There it is. There it is. There it is. Thank goodness. Picking on me in the chat for using this tiny pencil. These are expensive. These are about $11 a piece. So these are expensive pencils. But I just want to hit it a slight amount with this pencil and just kind of lighten that gray up a little bit. So there we go. That's what I want. I want that little burned effect. Probably, if you can tell in the camera, the chat out there in the video, but that's significantly. All right. All right. This tooth behind here has some cracks in it. Really? Go back and go to our nasty yellow pencil here. And multi-line. I'm going to try to multi around the color around the cracks and stuff. Joe, I heard you. You told me your vacation's shipping. What's your delivery date on that? Take out. Yeah. Kind of digging that. I'm gonna do that around the top of the tooth and give it kind of that darker edge to it. Kind of getting tired of blending them around, so I'm going to do a more of a high contrast outline around the teeth. You know, you can change your plan along the way. You know, by default, start with using the advantage of the Copics, as that's blending, but sometimes this may not be the effect you want. Everything. Oh, you gotta check it out. So I have a box coming, and I think it will be here Friday. Friday or Saturday. Friday or Saturday, being realistic. I have one of my boxes. I have a hobby and a still hobby. Definitely have something to open on Sunday. So mouth back. Do some hard right there. Now, realistically, how long would I take to do this if I wasn't talking and explaining things? I mean, funny, if I put a timer on myself, I can do cards way faster. But I'd say this is probably taking my time like this without talking, being slow. A slow one would be like 2 hours, just kind of coming back and forth, going to get something to eat, coming back, drinking a drink or something. But you know, it just depends. I find myself if I need to be fast, put some music in my ear, and I can put a timer on me, and a timer will force me to. I could draw this whole thing in 10 minutes if I was forced to do it quickly, and then colored probably. I'll probably do the whole thing in an hour if I was pushed. People ask that too, like how long does it take to do something like that? And it just depends. Depends on the mood you're in, how you feel, and how pressed you are. So under pressure, probably an hour. No pressure, you know, 2 hours, maybe more, just if I'm messing around with it. Depends on how much time you have. You have time to come back to it and go away from it and stuff. That's sometimes more desirable. Sometimes it also makes you things off. What do we got here, Joe? Oh, Thursday. Oh, fantastic. Great. I'm glad you get it Thursday. Oh, you saw a collector's tin, Bobby. They got a plate hit. That's awesome. Plate hits are hard, man. That's I have opened a box of 2013 minis, the mini cards that were out in 2013, which are mini reprint cards of brand new series 1 through 3, and I hit a plate in one of those. Now, to be fair, every box had a hit. I think they all had at least an autograph or I'm sorry, they all had an autograph. I don't know if they all had a plate. Yeah, I hit a plate in there. That was quite a long time ago. 10 years ago. All right, enough of that. Let's get the back of the mouth color so it makes the teeth pop, and I can add more detail if I want to. There's definitely some other things to be added here. So let's figure out the background, back of the mouth color. I may not keep you all night. We might do a part 3 of this thing because of time. Talked more than I thought I would. So I'm gonna start kind of light in the mouth, and then typically I tell you what I do. So you're not doing just a black mouth. There's a throat color in there. There's different variations of red. In this case, a little pink. It doesn't have to be perfect. So yeah, a lot of times when I don't do just a black mouth where there's no detail, I'll use R56, which is current, and let's see if I can find my other color. And then also we can use R59, which is cardinal. I'll show you what these are like. These are pretty dark, and I'll use these as the darkest color in the mouth. So pretty dark color, really. And then I could blend in there with some pencils and stuff if I wanted to be fancy, but I'm going to use, that's a more muted color there. Those are fine. Those are perfectly fine to use for very, like a lighter muted burgundy kind of color in a darker burgundy. But this is also current and cardinal, so R59 in a chow marker. It's a chow. And Copic Sketch R56 is the one there too, current. But these are pretty dark, and we've been doing some high details and playing with the pinks and stuff. So let me get in there with some other colors. Let's experiment with that inside the mouth. Something else. Could look at this as like a rose red here, R85. That's not awful either. Might be a nice place to start for darker areas. But whatever I use, I need to be able to blend with, so I need to have some colors around it. So here's a R83, which is a rose mist. So that's slightly different, right? A little bit lighter, so I probably could use that. No, anything lighter than that. And I try to bundle them in threes. You want to typically have a family of 3 colors in a row there. So 83, 85. I don't know if I have another color in that family, and there may not be one. I don't think I do. So what else might go with that? Jump out of the family here. My best guess, all right? So here's a RV11, just pink. Straight up, here's just a pink. And that is a lot lighter. I think I can make that work. So I'll try these. I don't know if I'll like it because very red in the mouth. So I'll do again like a base coat in there. Spot over here. There are spots in the mouth that are lighter than others. I still could use my pencil to. I know this color is very similar to the gums too, but we're gonna fix that in just a moment. In the back throat here, we'll make that darker right off. I mean, we could throw. I'm not clear how much I want to blend that yet. So don't have a lot of room in here to blend either, so I have to be careful with that. So behind this spider web is all by the mouth. So color that. Over our spider there, he's okay. All right, so the rest of this is saliva, which we need to go over later, and so make some distinctions here. The gums still need to be colored too, so factor. Just work on the edge of it. Go ahead and use some of the sockets here. Good color. All right. Do lighter, do darker up this way to light way. It's kind of similar to the original. There's a dark. There's like a little bit of light shine through into the mouth right. Getting a little bit of contrast. All right. Switch up to the next page here. 85. Let's see what the 85 looks like. It might be very drastic. Real gentle. I'm going to ease up to the edge of that border there. I'm just trying to do different layers of colors there. And I'm doing a little bit of a flick there too on the edge to make textures. Thinking about maybe leaving that. I may not. Especially if I plan to blend these, and I may not blend them. May not. Might blend some areas and not others. I'll blend this right. Add a little more, but I don't want to add too much. Some more of the 83 in there, or 83. I use it to blend, so you use the lighter color to blend. In this case, down and up from the top and the bottom to. I could use the other color, the other lighter color. Risk with using the lighter color. Sometimes when you go from the darkest to the lightest, is you end up creating this washed out effect. You don't want to too far apart. Use that and just kind of, but also gently. Tongue's bugging me a little bit because it needs to be dark. I think I will choose one darker color for the mouth. I want multiple depths of R55. Hollyhock, a good color. Used a lot. Probably not. 17, RB17, deep magenta. I think this is gonna be wrong as well. Something darker. So I'm gonna toy with the idea of using the R56. Let's toy with that. And the darkest areas around the edge, I'm gonna try something very dark. Should make that stuff inside the mouth pop more. And I'll blend that around as needed. Luckily, not every character would require this level of coloring. There's a spot right here, actually. I've kind of missed it. This one, this character has a lot of detail. There's several like this that have a lot of detail on them, but most of them don't. You know, these are the ones that are more challenging and more rewarding, I think, when you have them done. Okay. Digging that. Oh yeah, absolutely gonna pull. You've got so Joe, you've got a lot of those boxes coming in. I'm excited for you. You've got a lot going on. Get the back of that mouth. Uh, So I'm gonna hit that with the 85, I guess, on the edge. Probably gonna end up just coloring it in. Uh, what I might want to do. This is pretty dark, a bit dark in this. Work on this. This whole drawing, I'm tippy toeing up to decisions here. Let's play around. Let's blend that around and see what it looks like. Choose the R83. I don't think it's gonna be what I want, but at least a base to start from. Kind of what I want right there is just a little bit of difference, and then I can go around the edge with a much darker marker and make it super dark in the back of the throat. I want this real subtle gradient there. Nothing made. This, let's darken that. There's like a little white spot on the tonsils that shows, but not a tremendous amount. Honestly, nothing up here. I'm going to remove that. We're going to show some down here on the edges. There's some white down through here, but it's real minor. Sure. With the tip of the pen. darken the upper top of this throat. Pretty good. I might blend that and go over again. Keep doing it. Pretty good there. Just slightly blend the edge of that. Not much. Use something lighter. I want to lighten and soften the edge of that. Try this. Won't use it because it's lighter. It's R21. And I think the 83 might have been like a little too dark, so I didn't use the 83. Need a light pink. Looking too bad. All right, so that's decent in the mouth there. Decent. Use this lighter marker to pull some of that darker R56 out. And trying to hit any little white spots I see in there. Those are kind of ruin the effect if you don't. Little white spots taken care of. Pretty good. Digging that. All right, let's get the tongue looking more reddish. So the tongue, darker in the back, lighter in the front, on the sides a little bit. So let's switch up and use yet another color. Okay? We can actually use a darker. This R24 prawn. Prawn's a key color. You should always have not a prawn. An excellent red there. Middle of the road. Kind of dull, but can't tell it in person on paper. So I'm going to go easy with it in the back. And we're going to blend it, of course. There's texture on the original tongue. I'll try to put a little bit on this one. Might go for that. So let's go for a darker red, and we'll blend these together. I go for this, not in the same family as R17. 7 is a lot darker than a 4. That marker is about dead, so we're going to skip that. Go for another good color, so R08, melon. And that's significantly, there we go. That'll do it. Some of these reds, the color family don't matter as much. Some of them they do. For what I'm doing here, it's not going to. Blend that around a little bit. Something light. Grab this light tea rose, which is an R112. Like, again, much like a pink. Just blend that a little bit. Blend too much. Blend more the back than the front. I want some of those dots in there. I probably will come back with the pen and just add the dots in. And I don't really love the effect it did. So I'll come back and do something different with that. Let's see. Where are we at? We're at hour and 30. Okay, we'll wrap this up in just a minute for tonight. Not too much left to do here. We got to color some of the teeth details in, do some of the gray work on the stuffing and the bandage here, and then right here there's a pile of slobber. There's two piles of slobber I didn't color earlier. Just to mark them. You know, obviously we want to do a little more than that. I need to darken the gums up some. Then we can spray the background quite easily. So, and the background is similar to the color of her eyes, so we'll probably use those blue greens we talked about earlier, the 34, and probably the 34 is what I use, or maybe even darker. Maybe there was one in the 50s I had earlier too. So I think for tonight, let's call it. I appreciate everyone tuning in. I don't want to keep you all night. It's about 10:30 here on the East Coast, but for Bobby, it's my goodness. Thanks, Bobby, for tuning in. Joe, Patrick, uh, Vincent out there. Appreciate you tuning in as well. Thanks, Bobby. It does look pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that so far. We'll do a little bit more to it. Darken some areas up. No reason to rush it. So resume this later in the week. It's going to be a busy week. Probably have a video out tomorrow. That's my plans to have the first of many. I don't know how I'm not sure if I have 150 videos like Bobby, but I might. Oh, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, 3:36 in the morning in the UK. Yeah, it's time for bed, man. All right. Well, happy hunting for the vacation set. Hope you find some in the retail in the store soon, or if you order them, they come in and you bust and open some packs, find some sketch cards. And, I will be live again next week, maybe later this week, depends on how the schedule goes. But I'll post notifications up and those videos drop. Please like, subscribe, even if you do the replay or if you watch live. Appreciate it. Have a great rest of your week and a good evening. Thank you all. Bye bye.